video is sponsored by Rokform. So we're gonna do things differently for this video. We're gonna have just kind of like a relaxing fireside chat about the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. This is the Pro Max. This is what I've been using since Friday. So for like the last 72, 96 hours or so. And I do have a lot of thoughts, and some thoughts have changed since my initial hype from the announcement from Apple last couple of weeks, since we've known about all the official features for the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. And so I wanted to get my thoughts out there, and then in the comments, please let me know your thoughts, and of course subscribe if you want to see more videos. We still have so much more to test with this phone. But one of the first things I do want to start off with is eSIM. I put out a tweet the other day that says eSIM sucks. And yes, that was just me being frustrated in the moment. I do think that eSIM as a whole, the concept, the technology, whatever, yes, it's fine. Let's move forward. Let's progress. I really do believe in that. I'm not trying to hold it back, but I don't think a lot of carriers, specifically some of the smaller carriers that people belong to, myself included, or at least I did, those carriers were not ready for the amount of people that were trying to transfer from physical SIMs to eSIMs all in one day, all at one time. And even the big carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, even those larger carriers had some issues. Now, I know a lot of people tweeted at me and said, oh, it took 3 minutes. And I wonder how many of those people were already on an eSIM to begin with. Yes, it's true. That one's a lot easier to manage. But when you're transferring from a physical SIM card to eSIM, yes, some people had a great experience. It took a couple minutes. It was fine. It was seamless. And there were a lot of others like myself who did not have a good experience. And I'll try to make it brief, but I was on Visible, which is a subsidiary of Verizon. It is an all digital company, which sounds great, but when you need to get a hold of them, using the chat inside of the app is not great, especially when there are thousands of people trying to do the same thing. So on Friday, I transferred over my physical SIM, or at least I tried to. It had an error, and then it actually took my iPhone 13 Pro and it got rid of the SIM and the number from it because it no longer works with the physical, and it's stuck somewhere in between physical and the eSIM portion, and it never actually fully transferred. And so it's just kind of hanging out there in limbo. I never really got to talk to Visible because whenever I went on the chat service inside of the app, I was in a large queue. And then whenever I got a number finally assigned to me, and I got all the way down to 2 a couple of different times, I was 2 people away from being the next person to actually talk with a representative, the app would sign me out or crash, and I'd have to get back in line. And honestly, after a full 24 hours of trying to do that, I got frustrated and I went to Verizon proper and I started a new account, and they gave me a temporary number while they port the number from Visible, which is actually not an easy process as well. And I'm still without my actual phone number that I have a lot of people actually trying to call and text me and are concerned that I'm just not answering the phone. So personally, I would have liked Apple to kind of not rush into this, or maybe they didn't rush into it. I don't know. But there are a lot of phones out there that have not rushed to just all eSIM with no physical SIM, and this kind of reminds me of the nano SIM days where that didn't really take off as much as people wanted it to. So those are my thoughts on eSIM. Would love to hear yours in the comments down below, but then let's move on to the rest of my thoughts on the iPhone. Let's start with the 2 biggest features, and that's the dynamic island and the always on display. Now, I was super hyped for Dynamic Island. Apple did a really good job with its presentation of Dynamic Island, and all of the commercial and marketing videos that they have for it are really cool. And I still think it's really cool. But after using the phone for 4 days, Dynamic Island is something that you don't really notice as much, especially since a lot of the developers out there do not have, Dynamic Island kind of set in the apps yet. They're working on it. There are some things out there. Apparently Apollo has this really cool cat or something that goes around it. And there are some games that I haven't seen them firsthand, but that all sounds cool. But I'm looking for third-party apps to have some, actually useful functionality. Now I know Spotify, which is third-party, it's up there and that works, and there are some that do work, but I'm looking forward to the day where we have more functional uses from other apps. And so right now it's been fine. I don't use it as much. I haven't had the need, but it's definitely cool. It works really well. I will say there is one thing that's kind of strange that I noticed, and that's the little microphone dot that lets you know that your microphone is in use. That for some reason is not in the dynamic island. It would make sense for it to be, but in certain use cases here, it's not. And it's all the way off to the right, and it almost looks like it's not supposed to be there. It's like off to the right and then down a little bit, and it's so close to the edge that it just looks like something that wasn't supposed to be there. I'm guessing that's a bug, but if it's not, that's a little weird. But overall, I mean, everything has been fluid. It has been dynamic in some instances, but I'm just looking for a little bit more functionality. Otherwise, I think this is going to be something that you just kind of have and that it exists, but it's not something that maybe we were kind of like, oh, you should run out and get the Pro because the dynamic island is really, really cool. I think there are other reasons why. This is just kind of a bonus nice to have. As of right now, those are my, last 3 to 4 day impressions on dynamic island. And I think we can kind of say the same thing for always on display, though I do see far more functionality in it. Now, my main concern with the always on display is that whenever I'm using the phone, maybe I'm texting somebody and then I'm done, I put it on my desk and it goes down into always on display mode and it kind of dims the screen and drops to 1 Hertz. If I get a text or another notification immediately, it will bring that screen back up to its full brightness as if I picked it up and was trying to interact with my phone. And it'll do that for a little while. And I think that's what's contributing to the larger than normal battery drain than what you would get with the always on display just kind of sitting here all day. There have been tests out there where people have said it's relatively minimal, maybe 5 to 10% throughout the day. For me, it's been fine. I think battery life has been pretty much in line with how it was with my iPhone 13 Pro Max. And so I'm not really noticing a major drain. I think that if we can get the battery life to kind of stay at that, 5% range, 5 to 7 throughout the course of a day, I'll take that hit to have the, convenience of being able to see my phone and lock screen and see what's coming in. Now, one of the features that actually surprised me when it comes to the display is that 2000 nits of outdoor peak brightness. So if you're out in bright sunlight, which over the weekend I was at a football game and it was just super bright sun for 4+ hours. I've got weird tan lines going on here, but yeah, I mean, it really, really helps to have that 2000 nits. My wife has a iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I have obviously the 13 Pro Max before I switched here, and I had them both outside kind of hand in hand looking at it, just doing a test, and you could really see a difference here. When it goes from 1000 to 2000, I mean, you literally see that double of screen brightness automatically just kind of kick on. And it is mind-blowing how much better you can see your phone compared to somebody else's. I was looking at her phone, I had sunglasses on too, which you can, if you know what I'm talking about, you know that if you have sunglasses, you're looking at another phone outside, good luck trying to see anything. And I couldn't see anything on her device, and I could see everything clear as day on mine. It was super bright. I could even turn the brightness down if I wanted to, and it would be just fine. But it was really, really good. So something to keep in mind as well, especially if you are outside a lot when using your iPhone. Now, before we continue on, if you did just pick up a new iPhone 14 or 14 Pro and you're looking for a really good way to protect your shiny new device, you should definitely check out today's sponsor, Rokform. Rokform's new lineup of cases have some of the strongest magnets for MagSafe compatibility that I've ever seen or used. And honestly, if you want to make things even more magnetic, which I didn't think you could do with these cases, but you can use this special plug that comes with this rugged case from Rokform. Out of the box, the case comes with a standard plug that works really well with MagSafe compatible products, including chargers. But if you pop it out and insert the magnetic plug, you can get even more magnetic strength. And let me tell you, I could barely get this MagSafe wallet off of my phone. I'm shaking it as hard as I can. I'm pulling it as hard as I can, and it's really stuck on there. Even the company's crystal case takes around 25 newtons to remove the wallet from the back of this case, which is quite a bit. These cases are obviously very well made, they're incredibly durable, and they protect your phone like no other. So for more information about these iPhone 14 cases from Rokform, visit the link in the description down below. And then one of the last major new features, aside from the A16 Bionic, which I don't really think we need to talk about a whole lot. I haven't noticed any difference in performance honestly, between the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max. They both work really well. They've continued to work really well, so that's really all you need to know. Thermal efficiency I feel like it's been a little bit better, especially when I'm outside, like I said before, with that screen brightness all the way up. My phone wasn't as hot as I might have anticipated it to be, so maybe the thermals are a little bit better with A16, but I have no way of really actually quantifying that right now. So, just kind of take my word for it, I guess. But performance has been great. But the camera system is the biggest change. And, you get that 48 megapixel wide angle sensor. It's so much larger, like 65% larger than the 13. We're gonna do a full video, so please, 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 if you wanna see that, subscribe. We'll be comparing the iPhone 13 Pro Max camera and maybe some other phones in the future to the 14 Pro Max, but that'll be the next one. It'll be coming up very, very soon. But I did snap some photos over the last few days of using it, and I've been happy. If you're outside in the bright sun, you got good light around you, it's gonna look good. It's always looked good. So I don't think there's a huge difference in that range. I think a lot of it's gonna come in that low light, which I haven't really had a chance to test out a whole lot. But my biggest thing that I really like with the 48 megapixel is if you take a photo, because it's gonna default to 12 megapixel with pixel binning. So if you actually turn on Pro RAW, which is what you need to do to get 48 megapixels, and you take a photo, it is going to be great when you crop in. It's not going to lose hardly any resolution, or it's going to be a really good option for someone who wants to take a nice large file photo, because that's what it's going to be, and be able to crop in quite a bit and not lose out on any quality. It's very, very sharp. And again, we'll do more testing here soon. But the other thing that's really nice is having the ability, because of that sensor, to have a near optical like 2x zoom available again. And so now whenever you open up the camera app here, you'll see you have your 0.5 ultra wide camera, and then you have 1x, 2x, and 3x that are, technically that 2x isn't an optical zoom, but because of that 48 megapixel camera, you won't notice a difference in quality loss, that's for sure. So you have those 4 optical-like zoom ranges at your ready down there at the bottom, and you can choose between the 4, and it's been a really nice addition. And then the last thing I want to talk about are the color options. I'm not going to go too in depth on why Apple still continues to leave out bold color options for Pro users. If you want those color options, you need to go with the 14 and 14 Plus. But I do like the 2 newer options, and that's this new black, which is technically space black. Before it was graphite and space gray. This one's definitely the best out of the previous gray-black options that Apple has ever offered. I love the black stainless steel. I love this kind of space black option that they give you. It looks really clean. It's my personal favorite. And then I'm kind of disappointed in the Pro, even though I'm going to tell you right now it is definitely the next best color option in my opinion. I mean, it's just something that it's very boring most of the time. Like, sometimes it's going to look blue. Sometimes it's going to look navy. I'm trying to look at the camera here. It's like right here, it looks kind of like the space black. And then when I turn it towards the light, it's got a purple, but it's not a lot of purple. So, I mean, maybe you might like that. It is very subtle. The stainless steel purple is very nice. So color options are kind of meh as always, but if I had to pick, it's going to be one of these 2. And my ultimate favorite choice here right now is this space gray or space black. So yeah, overall, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, which color you like, what you thought about my thoughts as I've tested these phones for the last 3 to 4 days now. My kind of conclusion right now is that I don't think maybe the 14 Pro Max or the 14 Pro is as much of an upgrade as I thought it might have been over the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. Obviously, if we get any older than that, I do start to see where the value lies. Maybe the camera might be better. Again, we're going to be testing that very, very soon, so you can let me know in the comments which tests you want to see, and please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those videos. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.